This is the 2023 version of the Honda CR-V. It's fully redesigned, and in today's Vehicle Visionary video here at Holmes Honda in Shreveport, Louisiana, we're going to talk about 3 distinct advantages that you can find if you go with the non-hybrid version over the hybrid version of the Honda CR-V. The first advantage is going to be a lower price. The base price on the LX trim level, that's a trim level below what we have right here with the EX, is going to be $28,410. If you go with the hybrid sport, its base price is going to be $32,410. And advantage number 2, you already saw it right at the beginning of the video, but it's the fact that this is the only battery you have to deal with. Some of the changes that come along for 2023, let's talk about changes in size. 0.4 inches will be the increase in width. Not much there. 1.6 inches will be the overall length increase as far as wheelbase goes. That's measured from the center of one tire to the center of the other, whether it's front to rear, rear to front. And bumper to bumper is going to be 2.6 inches of increased length. As we take a look from the front end, changes here are pretty obvious as far as the design of the grille and the overall front end. A little more squared off than what it was in the past. You're going to have LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, and also LED tail lights on the rear. A little bit wider grille, a little bit of a lower profile look with what we have here. This particular model is front wheel drive. Let's talk about tire size, tire and wheel size. The width, this area, 235. We're going to have a 60 series sidewall, which is right here, and the rim, I shouldn't have to tell you about that, is going to be 18 inches. And yes, there are people out there who don't understand what those numbers mean on a tire, so give them a break. Yes, it was important for me to say that. We do have a manually folding side view mirror that has the turn signal indicators built in, body colored mirror caps with the crystal black exterior color, heated and power adjustable. You can also see blind spot monitoring right there. And speaking of that, as I give you a quick look at the remote, you're also going to have Honda sensing. You'll have remote start right there, something I know a lot of you like to have. With Honda sensing, you're going to have road departure, lane keeping assist, automatic emergency braking, and adaptive cruise control. We'll also finish things off here with the LED tail lights. When the rear window gets dirty, well, you got the rear window wiper right here and the very nice looking and also useful, it has a purpose, rear roof spoiler, and that's going to allow air when you're driving down the road to literally flow over the back window instead of blowing dirt and debris right down on here. But as you know, when you need it, you've got that rear roof or rear window wiper right there. You'll also have the shark fin antenna, and you know, it's funny, over the years, I'm not as big on chrome as I used to be, but with this crystal black exterior color, the chrome surround on the windows is a nice touch. One of the other big changes for 2023, and I know to the average person this is not going to mean a lot, but if you raise the hood, it raises itself basically to a point because you no longer have to go hunting for that manual prop rod because you have these struts right here to help with everything to hold things up. And that reveals the 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It makes 190 horsepower and 179 pounds-feet of torque. And I know a lot of people are going to say, you lost me at this point. It does have a CVT, a single-speed continuously variable transmission. Don't knock it until you try it. Trust me, this one is well behaved. It does a good job compared to a lot of others on the market. And let's talk about those all-important MPGs. What exactly are they? Well, here we go. Even though it's a non-hybrid version, the numbers are still solid. 28 city, 34 highway, 30 combined, and 3.3 gallons of gas is what Honda says you should use per every 100 miles you drive. And here on the EX trim level, you may not have a power rear door, but it is dampened, it is assisted, it does a very good job. Once you just start it moving, it finishes the job for you. So let's talk about that third big advantage here, extra cargo capacity. 36.6 up to 76.5 cubic feet. Now I'm going to remove this real fast because I can show you the additional option here as far as how this goes, and I really should have done this a little bit differently, but you know what, I'm going to do it one-handed and show you. So you can maximize cargo capacity by lowering these rear seats flat. As you can see, I've done one side, we don't need to do both necessarily, and you have the little areas on the side right here for everything, but you saw what I did with the floor earlier. So this is the same height you would have if you go with the hybrid version, but you also have the option to reset that. You can do that one-handed, it's that simple. And you increase cargo capacity. So that's how you go from 36.6 to 39.3. When you lower the rear seats, you're at 76.5 cubic feet. Quite a bit going on back here as well. We're gonna have the hangers for the bags, whatever you want to put on there on each side. Also the interior lighting and the 12-volt power outlet that could come in handy in a multitude of ways. And we'll take a look in through the passenger side rear door. You will have your child safety lock activation right here. That's always good to know about, because if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you decide to explore the rear seating area of your new CR-V, make sure at least one of these is in this up position, because when it's down like this, these doors are locked. And if both doors are locked and the ignition is not on, where you can open the windows and open the doors that way, you're climbing through the pass-through right here. For some people, that's easier than it is for others. We're gonna have the door bins right here. You can see what all is there. And yes, it is cloth seating, not a big deal necessarily. I know some people actually say that that is outdated. What do you think? The lone rear seat pocket here on the back of the passenger side seat will have the air conditioning vents here on the rear of the center console. Now, you don't have connectivity back here. At this price point, even though it's not as high as it could be, yeah, it would be nice to see. And then we'll fold down the armrest with the cup holders built in. That's going to have its advantages, obviously. And the conventional size sunroof here. I know a lot of you are wanting to have a panoramic sunroof on this particular model, but at least not for 2023. We're going to see that maybe in the future. Tell me what you would like to see where that's concerned. If you're curious to know about my personal opinion, I prefer no sunroof at all. And now we hop to the front seat looking in through the passenger side door. A little bit more space with the door bin. By the way, the front and rear doors do have nice, comfortable armrests. Putting your arm on there is the ultimate test. Pushing like this doesn't necessarily reveal much. Sometimes it feels more harsh than it is, more firm than it really is when you put your arm on there. You will have heated seats, which is not going to do a lot for us for quite a few months here in Northwest Louisiana until possibly November or December of this year. You have a manually adjustable passenger seat and a power adjustable driver's seat. And we'll take a quick look across the dashboard here, and you're going to have that newly added screen. It's no longer sitting back at an angle, so it does help to reduce glare as it is. The shifter is no longer up here in this area. It's going to be down here in a more conventional position. The good thing about that is that there is no push button shifter, because I know a lot of you prefer to not have that. You can change your driving modes, turn auto stop, start, or idle stop off, which is always a good idea, and your hill start assist, power parking brake and brake hold mode. Also have our cup holders there, and quite a bit of space within the center console. And one thing I do want to make sure I mention, you do have connectivity here in the front seat with USB options and another 12-volt power outlet. If you buy a long enough adapter for the 12-volt power outlet, you could actually run it to the rear seating area back there and give your rear seat passengers an option for connectivity, since there isn't one back there. A gloveless glove box. It's more of a trash box right now, I guess you could say, but that's what they call it, a glove box. You can see there is a good bit of space in there. And since you are all extremely intelligent folks, I likely don't need to say a thing about the buttons and everything that you have here on the driver's side door. You know what all of that is for. If you wanted to attempt a front-wheel drive burnout with your front-wheel drive CR-V EX, well, turn off traction control and see what happens. And then you can drop the lever right here to adjust the steering wheel to your liking. It is adjustable tilt and telescopically. We'll hop inside here and go ahead and hit the button right there to fire everything up. You can see the dashboard here, the digital dash. Nice, modern. It is patterned after, or is the same platform, I should say, as the Honda Civic, the 11th generation of the Civic. and we can hit this button right here, and then we can scroll our way through quite a few different features and functionality as far as what the vehicle has and different settings, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to go through every single little thing, but there you go. And here with the infotainment screen, you can wirelessly pair your phone via Bluetooth. It is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay compatible, which you will have to have a USB cable to make that work, but very simple. And we have dual zone climate control here in the front area. We're going to have the sync button right there if you want to sync both together. And like I said, you do have your heated seats. I dare not leave any of that on today on any of those three settings. And I told you earlier about the drive mode selector. What exactly are the driving modes? Well, we're going to start off with Econ, and I'll show you the graphics that go with that. Snow mode is going to be there as well, and we'll work our way back up to normal. And that is what it seems we have as far as those go. Now, you do have S right here. So you've got drive and you have S. That's going to be your sport mode if you want to drive in that. And ultimately, that's what you have as far as the interior goes. But what is this model like to drive out on the road? Let's get out on the road and do that. We'll even have a quick little road noise test and see what we can do to let you see what that sounds like as best as we can from my lapel mic. And one more thing before I forget, let's go into reverse so you can see the multi-view rear view camera. That flickering effect is purely due to the shutter speed of my GoPro. It is a common problem with GoPros. No big deal. It has nothing to do with the screen itself here. So don't blame Honda for that. The multi-view rear view camera is here. That's going to be on every single model. In fact, you won't buy a brand new vehicle today, at least in the United States, that does not have a backup camera. Okay, here we go on our test drive, and as promised, I'm going to let you listen for a few seconds and listen to the road noise. This is really somewhat of a worst case scenario because this road is very rough. Give you a really good idea of what the road noise is like. Okay, hopefully that was enough. Give you a little bit in both lanes. Like I said, this road is in really poor condition. Very much washboarded out. It's a very noisy experience to drive on it. So, depending on your situation, you can probably figure it out for yourself. It's not bad. Depending on where you drive, probably won't be any worse, if anything. I guess it potentially could be, but most people aren't going to deal with that. But the thing here is that it's still relatively quiet, even with the road noise being what it is based on the road conditions. It's not bad. Very little wind noise, at least from my perspective. I don't know what it sounds like to you on the lapel mic. It may sound worse than it does to me in person, but that's what we have to work with, so that's what we're going to stick with. Overall, this is a very enjoyable vehicle to drive. It's very easily maneuverable. It has a nice tight turning radius. That obviously makes a big difference if you live in a highly congested big city area. That works really well. So depending on who you are and where you live, this is really a great vehicle if you have to deal with tight parking spaces and just a lot of people out on the road. And the ride quality is good. Not that I don't, it's been a long time since I've driven, I should say, not ridden in, but driven a 2022 or earlier CR-V. I don't remember it being too terribly bad to ride down the road, especially on something like what we just drove off of. Not bad, but this seems to be improved to me. I remember the first time I drove one of these CR-Vs right out of the parking lot at Holmes Honda, I immediately noticed, wow, that seems to be a better ride quality, and sure enough, it is. A very easy vehicle to learn as well. So for those of you who are out there saying, you know, it's time, I can't fight it anymore, I can't wait any longer, I have no choice, I have to buy a new vehicle, and I really want one of those new CR-Vs, but I've never had all of that technology that is there. Honda has some of the easiest to learn and use technology in the automotive industry today. Based on all of the different vehicles that I review and drive on a regular basis, this is definitely some of the easiest there is. You can see on the screen that I paired my phone, which really pair it in the respect of what it may sound like. I just plugged in my USB cable and plugged in the phone and then hit connect right there, and then it asks me if I want to connect to Apple CarPlay, use Apple CarPlay, because obviously this is what I have. It's the same thing if you have an Android device, so just super simple, literally plug and play, very simple to use. So one thing I know I'm asked a lot is, does the CR-V EX have built-in navigation? No, it doesn't. But once you pair your phone, as you can see on the screen right here, that problem is very easily resolved. So overall, a really enjoyable vehicle to drive, pretty easy to see out of. You really don't need to worry too much about that because you have blind spot monitoring, as I showed you earlier in the video. So this CR-V EX really brings a lot to the table. It's a very enjoyable vehicle to drive, good ride quality. I think it would be wonderful for a nice long road trip. And you have that extra cargo capacity and those other advantages we talked about earlier in the video over the hybrid versions. And there is not only a quick tour of the 2023 version of the Honda CR-V EX, but those are also the advantages of the Honda CR-V EX for the non-hybrid version over the hybrid version. Tell me what your thoughts are. If you're going to buy a CR-V, what are the determining factors? What do you want? What do you need? What boxes need to be checked off? Are you going to go hybrid or non-hybrid? I'm always curious to know. I need to say a special thanks to my friends here at Holmes Honda for loaning me this CR-V for the day, and a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to take the opportunity to watch this video and give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and would like to learn about other vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.